2, 3, 4, 5.
Okay, that was the most unhelpful sound for a lady who used to do sound.
Oh, you just want 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Adam, count to 5 for me.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
See, that's how a professional does it.
I just counted. I just made it more interesting.
Okay, so you can provide us with today's clap.
The clap.
You have to give us both the clap.
Okay, here we go.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to episode 9 of Salt Balls of Beards. Adam's pulling a funny face already because he's convinced that I'm blagging my way through this episode. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm very well. How are you? Are you sure you're all right? Yeah,
I'm fine.
Good.
I'm good. I'm good. I'm not as tired as I could be because otherwise I'd be reading labels on. When I'm really tired and we're driving down the street or I'm on a high street, I will read the shop.
Yes.
Look, it's Boots or Tesco, and I get really over, so I'm fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Road signs, van signs, anything we're passing. It's like, oh, okay, we've got to that point in the evening. Fair enough.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Or, on the packet of salt, 2%,
Yeah.
salt content on the side of gravy.
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a freak. It's fun.
Enthralling.
Hey, I saw a thing the other day, we're already off topic, where there was a
Have we got on topic yet?
Where I'm ignoring not guest. If you're not a guest until we announce you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
until we
fair enough.
you.
And
Okay.
there's a GIF or a meme or something, because I'm that old, I forget which one, I don't care.
I saw it in the
I saw it, and it basically said, before people used to take their phone to the loo, it's just a guy sat there reading the bottle of chip.
Yeah.
Because that's what he did. And I went, anyway, no one needs to know about my toilet habit.
That's another podcast episode. That's a Know Your Beard episode.
Oh.
Yes. Welcome, everyone. You can skip the last 2 minutes to episode 9 of Swords, Balls, Beards. I'm not Orky Adam.
That's me. Hello, Orky Adam.
And he's Orky Adam. And yes, our guest, we do have a guest. I promise you a guest for those 2 people who watched the thing I put on Facebook.
I was one of them.
And he was one of
Hey.
them. So for the one other person, which is probably me checking it worked, we have a guest today.
Yay.
Everyone cheer and welcome. Let's do it. You don't have to clap yourself.
Oh, okay. Sorry, I was trying to
But
be
no, do
helpful.
it anyway because it's funny. We have a guest this evening. It is this evening. God,
Yeah.
I've lost track of when we record. My wife.
Hello.
That's my wife, Crone. Anyway,
Yes.
that's Robin Hood nonsense. This is Sharon. Everybody say hello, Sharon. Everybody.
Hello, Sharon, everybody.
There we go. Yes, because this podcast is continuing to be filled with nepotism.
Your nepotism.
Yeah, well, Mrs. Adam, Orky Adam, is
Yes.
welcome anytime.
Yeah.
Oh, it just takes some convincing.
Neat.
Yes, I had to convince Sharon. I don't know, did I have to convince you of anything?
No, it was fine. I'm quite happy to come and chat.
We are, this evening, this is kind of our picture of the week with, I'm dubbing this episode, Who Are You? Because I get to pick the titles because I'm the guy who puts it on the internet. We're tonight discussing character creation and backstory. Not the dice rolling bit, although I realised as I was setting stuff up, the dice rolling does matter. For reasons that I'll ramble about later. But more about how you can develop your backstory in a cool way so that it works and helps other players, helps GM, and take it from there. So we thought we'd do it. It's a semi-GM tips thing. So a nepotism-fueled episode a couple of weeks ago with Sister, where we talked about GM tips of running a game for one other person. And there's another GM tip stroke player tips of how to create backstory if you want. So that's where we're getting to. However, before we get to any of the real stuff, is there anything we want to do beforehand? I'm wait till you look at your notes. It's fine.
I'm looking at my
I
notes.
know.
We can do Hobbit Corner.
Hobbit Corner. I quite like Hobbit Corner. I don't like the song that goes with Hobbit Corner because it gets stuck in my head and then it's there all day, wedged in like some vile fishing hook. But the actual concept, don't do it.
Hang on, in the middle of the...
No, don't do it.
Because you'll be singing over it after you dub it in, so that'll sound really weird. You'll have to sync it up with yourself.
Yes.
So,
Lived a strange little
Nope.
hobbit.
It's too late.
Don't do
It's
it.
too late.
Don't do it.
spoilt it.
Anyway,
You can't spoil Leonard Nimoy's album. The classiest. He and William Shatner's joint
I
collaboration.
guarantee you, other than you guys, no one of our listeners knows A, who Leonard Nimoy is, and B, that he released an album.
oh, I think that's a little unfair.
Shame on you.
I think that's a little
Assuming
unfair. Okay,
that.
listeners, you need to put in the comments, please, who Leonard Nimoy is. And
That's like
whether
The
you've
Simpsons.
listened to
Mission Impossible.
any of his music, because he was quite musical, had a decent voice.
The album that we own, that
Truly.
was purchased for me, was him and Bill Shatner. And we're already way off piece, but it went basically it was Bill Leonard all the way through the album.
Well, like Mick and Keith from the
But
Stones.
yeah, but it was basically it was really funny because we all know that Bill Shatner can't sing for love nor money,
Nope.
Yeah.
so he didn't.
It was a spoken word album, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah.
But his songs was no. But even if it was like Lucy in the Sky of Diamonds,
Oh, that
he
is a
spoke it
classic.
Most he was off his
Deranged
fucking nuts.
so far.
And then it went to Leonard properly singing, and then we had a Shakespearean sonnet by William Shatner.
Yes, Henry V, I think.
Anyway,
Yes.
Hobbit Corner,
Right.
Hobbit Corner.
Other than listening to Leonard Nimoy and William Shatner's
who we will
back
not
hand,
say.
what have you been doing for your Hobbit Corner?
What have you been doing? What have I been doing? What have I been doing? I have. Well, no, I've spoken enough. You go first.
Right.
It's like an old married couple.
Yeah. The Crusade rumbles on.
Grumbles, rumbles.
Grumbles. Yeah, it goes ahead. We finished Act 2 of our weekly
You
Warhammer
didn't
game.
actually send me a battle report.
No, I didn't.
Oh.
Saved it for Hobbit Corner.
Oh, love that.
There you go. I played a fellow who was running the Astra Militarum. It's spelt that but pronounced Imperial Guard. And his army of tanks and Krieg guardsmen and things, which was great fun. It's a proper classic matchup of orcs v people. And yeah, he beat the crap out of me.
Whoops.
not
Did he table yet?
No, it wasn't that bad, but I did the classic wah, the big wah.
Wow.
I failed all my charges, and my fellows just stood there and got shot to pieces and did nothing for the wah. But it was good fun.
What round did it end in?
Round 5, yeah, we got all the way through.
And did it need to get that long? Or
Yeah,
did you-
because we kind of were shooting at each other and things like that. But it ended, I had like just the war boss, and he surrounded him with infantrymen, and then moved the tanks out of the way so I couldn't get to him, and just shot me. But it was great. It was really fun.
Did they have to keep the shop open late? Whenever I seen you play,
we were.
you're always the last.
Well,
one.
yeah, we were the last people playing this week, but it's not usually us, It's the fellow who plays Gene Stealer Colts, because you can roll a dice after your unit gets destroyed, and on a 4 or 5 plus, they come back. So you just hide them around the board, and then they pop up again. So you can eventually play whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
And sort of like, I've killed that unit. It's coming back again.
That's
next
how I
turn.
play chess. I end up chasing the king around the board, and I lose. I mean, no one wins. It gets a bit. By then, you're kind of like, oh.
Yeah.
So yeah, those games tend to go on quite a long time. But yeah, we beat them this time. We were the last ones playing. There was one person who was playing last week who finished their game in 45 minutes.
Wow. Bloody hell.
We were still setting up and deploying and talking about what does what and things. And they were like, yeah, we're done.
Oh, wow.
Wow. What round did that end in?
I think it was like 2.
Oh, wow.
And then the guy just like lost his entire army in round 1. It was like,
awkward.
But it's loads of fun. So yeah, we're playing again tomorrow, and then yeah, I'm off for a week. So my other
Nice.
Hobbit Corner is I'm going to Italy. Yeah.
Yay!
Yay.
Whereabouts in Italy?
Florence.
Nice.
I'm going to see Big Naked Dave.
Excellent.
Yeah, it's gonna
Big
be loads of
Naked
fun.
Dave.
Big Naked Dave in the Duomo and eat cannolis and drink wine.
Is that
That's
like
amazing.
Well,
Please tell me yes. I know you.
yeah, 12-foot tall marble Dave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that what they call him?
Him and me are like this.
But you are.
Yeah.
This is Carry On Gaming. So your Hobbit Corner against Italy. I'm
Yeah.
not jealous at all.
No,
No,
not
it's
jealous.
fine. Sharon, you're a guest.
I am.
Hobbit Corner. What hobbits are you up to?
I love hobbits in the sense of crafty, creative, interesting things. Most recently, I have been adopting yet more plants and propagating yet more plants. I got introduced by you, I think, to the bearded plantaholic on Insta. And he makes really funny videos, but they're also actually quite informative. So he encouraged me to try what is known as propagation, when you take a cutting from a plant and make it grow into a new one, either by sticking it in water or by sticking it in soil with moss and other things. And I thought, oh, all right, then I'll give it a go.
It works.
Blimey, it works. And so I have many plants.
Why am I getting visions of like the island of Dr. Moreau, but with plants? So you're just like stitching them to each other and going, yeah, this is one of them now.
Not quite. I'm not like
It's alive. It's alive.
I'm not like blending them or whatever that word. There's a special word for planting.
Splicing them together.
Splicing or grafting or anything like that.
Jurassic Park quote again. that we keep quoting badly.
Yes.
If we can, no,
So
your
busy.
men didn't think about whether were so busy thinking of whether they could, they didn't stop to think if they should.
Yes.
See, I got it, Kevin.
I think that's still incorrect. But yeah, I know what you're going
Yes,
for.
but we know where you're going.
Can I have at least a sticker for effort?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, but only a small one. So, yeah, many plant things.
Cool.
And also, my lovely friend Liz comes around about once a month and we do different craft things.
Yeah, you guys were doing it when I was here last,
Yeah,
weren't you?
yeah. So last time she was here, we were doing things with polymer clay. So like
Right.
Fimo type stuff, but off-brand. And I made really cute little plant earrings and little pots. They were very nice.
Yeah, it's cool.
And so next time, although we haven't booked a date yet, I was very lucky and I got an engraving pen for my birthday. And I also have a wood burner pen thing. So I thought, right, that's what we're going to do. We're going to engrave things and set them on fire.
Perfect.
Not at the same time. Or maybe at the same time. I don't know. Anyway,
Do you not do it in this house?
what, set things on
Do
fire?
it at Liz's.
Yeah, I could think about that.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I love that house.
So that's what's going on in my Hobbit Corner. But what's going on in your Hobbit
Yeah.
My
Corner?
Hobbit Corner. My Hobbit Corner is this week. Those who listened last week or the week before, I can't remember because it's expanded. We finished our very long-winded, in a good way, Witchlight campaign with our folk around our friends. Alex, who does all the music that everyone's listening to, that isn't there anymore. They're emigrating to Australia, and we've been playing games on different nights with them for ages. So we finished Witchlight. And this week, our Tuesday night crew, which is separate with all the gaming crews that we play with, seem to overlap somewhere.
Yeah.
So that was a Thursday night crew, was Witchlight. The Tuesday night crew, which happens to involve the same people, we finished our Hard City campaign last night, which is the last online game we'll play in that format with those people
Yeah.
at all. Because when they move, we're going to keep in contact with them. But obviously we'll be playing at breakfast or dinner, depending on, because they're moving to the other side of the world, so we'll have to do it literally. We're
5
at breakfast,
a.m.
they're at dinner.
Yeah.
Or they're at dinner and we're at breakfast. So it will literally be the last format. And what's lovely is they want to come down and have one last hurrah in person here.
Yes.
So the Tuesday night crew, who aren't all Portsmouth based, are going to make themselves Portsmouth based. To
One night only.
places more. Yes, I think so. We finished that yesterday, which is cool. We finished on a noir high. It was a perfect noir finish. We won
It was great. It was really fun, actually.
and killed people, saved people, melted people.
Yeah.
All good things. From
All good things. So that was
TTRPG.
cool. And now my other thing is I've been waiting. Our friend of the show, first time listener, although he's listened a lot, never called in though. I'm yet. Kevin should be
Mystery
writing.
guest.
No.
Kevin should be writing.
He has been writing, which is why I haven't done it. I'm waiting for him to finish his writing so I can actually start playing Blade Runner. So I'm doing all the prep in the background for that. Because now he's finished, right? He's got to a deadline.
Yeah.
Which means he's now free to come and play. So I'm prepping that. And otherwise, yeah, that's kind of life in the universe. It's the summer.
It's hot.
It's hot.
Hot in the UK.
It is warm. Warmth is occurring.
Well, we say that, we're English, so we'd be squinting if it was a degree colder.
Yeah, but it's what we do, isn't it?
Yeah. And if it's raining, we'd be squinting. For those of you who don't live in Portsmouth, I'm sorry, squinting is an expression here.
I didn't know it until I moved to Portsmouth. It means moaning.
Yeah, it's not really a word, it's kind of a noise.
There's a couple of Portsmouthisms, isn't there? Dinlow.
Oh, yeah.
Didn't know that until I moved to Portsmouth. Squin.
Probably hadn't met one until you moved to Portsmouth.
Oh, I'm sure I have.
A different breed of idiot, Mr. Dillon. So Hobbit Corner. So as Leonard sings us out, maybe I'll put some Bill on.
You could.
Treat our listeners to Bill Shatters.
Yes, absolutely. And I
am
think
the real Slim Shady spoken word version.
Oh.
He did a great collab with. He did a great version of Common People,
yes.
Great. I look
Oh,
forward to that.
which he basically.
You know we have a really low subscriber count. Here, we want to maintain that level.
we want to maintain the low.
no, we want to build.
Oh,
Build.
okay.
Build.
Maybe no Bill Shatter then.
If we build,
just my input.
we'll build with Bill,
Right.
and the human.
That's not a segment. We're not doing. Build it with Bill.
Oh, we could just do banging on the table. What are you building this week, Bill? Well, it's a table, lad. Okay.
Stop. Stop yourself.
But no, he wouldn't say it like that. Be well. I'll pause.
Dramatically.
Yeah. So, building with Bill.
Oh, quick other things from me before we move on. I've got a new tattoo, which
Yay.
is really nice and I love it.
Do you know what's brilliant about that?
What?
It makes great radio.
Yeah, right. Well, the follow-up to that is I finally joined Instagram.
Hey!
After 20+
Amazing.
years, so, yeah.
Well done.
It only took you. Now, you do understand the bots? Have you got them?
No, I have no idea how to use it at all. Like,
Excellent.
literally, and that sounds really stupid. I know. I use TikTok and I
No,
use,
you don't.
like,
Because you panic. You show it to our mutual friend Sam and go, is this the bot? And
Yeah.
he goes, yes. You go, oh, I'll get rid of it.
yeah,
That's
exactly
what
that. But I thought, if I've got TikTok and I've got, why am I still using Facebook? Like, let's get with the sort of slightly more modern social media aspects.
Get down with the kids, as it were.
Instagram just recommends, I think I've gone into the sort of 35-year-old man algorithm because all it recommends to me is cars and DIY projects.
Amazing.
Neither of these things I've got any interest in at all. So
Wait till you get your 40s, then it recommends going to bed at 9.
yeah,
Literally, that's what mine is full of, is the fact it's so acceptable.
It's okay. We'll
you need reassurance to it.
We'll
No, I don't.
Yeah.
But it's funny because the amount of, I don't even know, yeah, it's just...
we'll send you interesting links of fun things, and that will
Please,
completely ruin your
please.
feed
No,
forever.
that'd be great. I'll take it. Let's get on with the episode.
What do you mean? Well, this is the episode.
The episode.
Part 1, we're going to come to allegedly later.
Yes.
But part 1 of the episode, so in terms of content, who are you? Our idea to invite you in, beloved wife, was to talk about how I thought you would be a good guest. We thought you would be a good guest to come in and talk to us about how you build characters. Because when you play D&D with folk for a long time, and when you build your characters, whether I'm DMing for you or other people are DMing for you, you put a lot of effort in, and you've done it a lot of different ways. I've known that from a GM perspective, but I've also seen it from a collaboration player perspective. So I thought you'd be a good person to talk through how we as a trio, because we do things differently. We were chatting with Jace, formerly of this parish, still of this parish in our hearts. We DM differently,
Yeah.
and we talked about different ways. How he prefers it, he ad-libs, you do summary. I think, well, I'm not being flippant, that's your summary, and I explore the world on my own, because I'm a lonely soul.
No, you'll pour hours into it, won't you?
And then just to enjoy the world, and then once I understand the city, I'll improvise on the night. So anyway, so with this similar thing, I know we've got different experiences for how we prep our characters. So, who would like to go? Guest first? Beard first?
Let's do beard first, so the guest is more eased into it.
Thank you. That's very kind.
Yeah.
It's like Stars and Wishes.
So I can go first because I'm pretty quick with building a character. I've only ever played in Jace, formerly of this parish's campaigns for Dungeons and Dragons. I've played a couple bits here and there and stuff, but we are fully expected to die quite semi-regularly. So I don't write backstory initially. For the first time I built a character for this campaign, yes I did. I built a full backstory for it because it's part of the experience of playing the game. And building a character subsequently since then. What I tend to do is have like really short bullet points that give me something to role play off of, like maybe 1 sentence, 2 sentences, and then based on conversations that come up in improv at the table in the first few sessions and relationships that start forming between other characters and things like that, I'll then build on it from there. So the longer the character lives, the more fleshed out their previous story is.
Okay.
But if they die at level 1 or 2, what's the point of me writing 3 pages of backstory because they're gone, sort of thing. So that's my sort of way of doing it, and it leads to some really cool characters because they feel a lot more part of the world because then you've grown up in it, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
They've grown up in it, so that's my experience with it, but it's very different to how a lot of people play.
Yeah, because I've not come across it where you would expect to die, sort of, level 1, level 2, level 3. I mean, you don't have a lot of substance, clearly, one strong puff of wind and you're gone. But also, my experience has been that the DM will kind of manage that space, so you're on the brink of death, but not necessarily actually dead. Whereas I feel like Jace, formerly of this parish, throws the kitchen sink at you.
That's now your name, Jason.
We've equated his campaigns to a death march. Which is great fun. Don't let this put anyone off.
Oh no!
Playing with him at any point when they're on this table, but I mean, there's a quote from Jace which is, "Surviving is your reward."
I see.
So there is no magical item at the end of this dungeon. There is no great treasure. you get to continue the story.
Amazing.
So, give you an idea, sort of thing.
It's...
So yeah, don't write yourself massive back. I mean, one of Sam's characters in our campaign died while taking a short rest because he sat in a tree and a snake ate him.
What?
Like that was yeah. Like
Okay.
failed his perception check, got sneak attacked by a snake. He was a wizard. He got torn in half by a snake.
Oh,
died
my
at
word.
like level 2. Like,
How many episodes in were you at that point?
about 3. Yeah, about 3 sessions in. So,
Wow.
yeah, give you an idea.
Okay.
So build as you go with him. But yeah.
Build as you go. Don't get attached.
No, don't get.
Well, what about yourself?
Very different, surprisingly.
Indeed.
I look for characters or think about characters who are not what you would expect. So that's what I've often picked. One of the characters I played in our first campaign, which was the Dragon Heist Waterdeep campaign,
Yeah.
I chose a drow because at that point all I knew about drow was that they were the enemy or that they were not well liked. So I thought, and in fact we'd come across them because we've been watching Critical Role and we'd been introduced to drow in that campaign. This was campaign 2. And I thought, oh, that's really interesting. I wonder what it would be like to play a drow that wasn't the bad guy. And why would they be there and how would they get there? So then I started reading all about drow and their background and their, and their faith and Lolth, the Spider Queen. And then I came across her daughter, Elestre, who is a much less powerful god. But she is always in competition with her mother in that sense, wanting to free the drow from her oppression.
Yoke sort of
Absolutely,
thing, yeah.
and very much in favour of the arts and defending women and children and all sorts of stuff. And I thought, I can absolutely get behind this. So then everything just went poof, like a lovely explosion of thoughts and ideas, and everything about the character then just opened up after that. And so that's how Kendra came to be. And I like accents, I'm quite good at accents, so I picked this kind of strange pseudo-European kind of sound with, the vowels, they are very round, and also not always pronouncing things very well, so then everyone else in the campaign is like, did you really mean that? Of course, that is what I said, I want the paper sheets, and then they say, oh, you need the toilet? No, I need the sheets of paper. Why are you saying these weird things to me? So all that kind of stuff, which is quite fun.
Yeah.
But looking at who would you not expect to have in that space? Who would be awkward? So the other one that I've played for a long time with the Witchlight campaign is Bee,
Right.
a Beatrice Seedfellow, and she is your typical Women's Institute, good housekeeping mother type person. And it came about because of a conversation I had with Esther, our daughter, and she said, "What would it be like if you were a mum in D&D?" What sort of characteristics would you have? What kind of qualities would you have? And we were just bantering to and fro about what it would be like. Well, they'd be good at cooking. They'd be good at fixing things. They'd be good at sorting things out. They wouldn't worry about things getting in a mess because they'd be able to fix them. So we landed on this kind of druid cleric kind of blend.
Okay.
Terribly practical, very sensible, not at all suited to adventuring, but that doesn't really bother them. They're just going to get stuck in anyway. And there she was, Beatrice Seedfellow.
There we go.
The motherly figure in D&D who shouldn't be there and is. And so, in fact, on our kitchen wall, we have a lovely picture by Esther Priest who drew a picture of Beatrice, and she's essentially this woman. And just this whole idea that she's terribly earnest and is really she wants to see the best in people. She's a bit naive and not very worldly.
I almost get Maggie Smith sort of McGonagall vibes,
Yeah.
that sort of thing, but but obviously, more naive.
Yeah, more naive, more earnest, more, well, really, will you put that down? And those kinds of things. And it was just so much fun to play her because she's not good at adventuring.
Right.
She's just not good at it. She's not built for it. So you ask her to climb things, no, that's not happening. You ask her to walk across the road, no, that's not happening. You ask her to steer something or do anything like that, it's just not her forte at all.
Excellent.
But then you can lean into that, and that's where it becomes fun.
Yeah.
Because you know that that's not her strength.
That's like playing to your flaws, isn't it?
Exactly.
And part of it as well, absolutely. So, I mean, with your character creations, you created these guys very differently from each other.
Yeah.
One was spawned from a conversation with Esther,
Yep.
and was sort of a bit of a gag, a bit of a bit, I imagine.
Yeah,
It's then
yeah.
snowballed into something that sounds great, and then the other one is, so you pick the race first,
Yeah.
and then from the race, read about it,
Yeah.
found out all the lore and the history, like the canonical stuff,
Mm-hmm,
and then built from there. That's perfect, isn't it? That's a great way of doing it. Would you do it any other way now that you've done those two? Is there any other ways
I need
that
a
you
hook.
want to create? Right, okay.
I need a hook. I need to find a way in. Part of my my work, when I was working as a freelancer, part of my creative practice was around storytelling. I love storytelling. It's why I like RPGs. It's why I like movies. It's why I like all kinds of that creative practice. Is storytelling is a way that we make sense of things. And in D&D, when we're exploring all those different characters and people, and we need to mention the game last night, and after the game we had actually quite a long chat about the characters and how they'd all fitted together.
We had a very brief fireside chat, didn't we?
Yeah, it was really good.
We played late, and it was like that.
Late for you is what, 8:30 in the evening?
Yeah.
How dare you?
9 o'clock.
I think we logged off at 11. I know, it was for us.
Proper late.
Burning the midnight oil.
Yeah.
Everyone went, no, we need to finish.
Yeah.
We knew it.
It was the last one. Yeah.
And then I expected, because
this is why you're getting those Instagram recommendations.
My phone's listening to me all of the time. But because everyone looked, bless him, our GM went, you all look tired, do you want to do one last?
Yeah.
And went, no, push through.
No.
And then because everyone's tired, it was like, I expected everyone to bugger off straight away. And instead they just went into a classic fireside chat about X and Y and this character development, your playing development, all this kind of stuff, and broke down each other's characters. Because we hadn't had a chance to at the time. But that in itself is a different way to build characters with
the hard city thing, yeah, which we might get to later. But yeah, for me, going back to your question, I need a hook. I need to figure out a way in, and then I'll build everything else around it. Because I love storytelling, and I need the beginning point, the starting point, wherever that is. Is it race? Is it a problem? Is it a character flaw? Is it whatever that is? And then I will put the pieces in around it. Okay. And some of that character development happens as the story goes along. In D&D, but also, we were playing Hard City, and for those of you who haven't heard of it, it's a fairly short, compact game, so you have a story arc that you are fulfilling or working through. It's set in 1940s noir kind of setting, and there are elements of the character where you can pick different qualities. Sure. And we set out with one set of ideals of how those characters were going to work together and who knew each other from before. And actually, how it worked out in the game was different to how we'd planned the characters and set them out. So my character, Vivian Steele, the classic names were just brilliant and glorious and very stereotypical. But my character, who was
you were the bruiser, in effect.
I was the bruiser.
The fighter or the barbarian.
Yeah, and I picked that character on purpose, even though she presents as a very stuffy, uptight British nanny.
Okay.
But she gets cross, and she defends, and that's her thing. But I ended up being friends with and defender of Stella Valentine, who is your femme fatale, and Jessica Rabbit. Kind of basically, we were imagining that she was Jessica Rabbit the whole time. But when we set the characters up, that was not there, and it didn't happen that way. But as the game evolved, the two of them and Gareth was hilarious. Gareth was playing the femme fatale. Gareth I love him. He is the monkey wrench in every game, because he's like, what can I do in here to make this interesting?
No, he's not. No, I wouldn't say he's like that. I would say he is brilliant at what he does. Because in this game, he just went, well, she wouldn't have that, and she just did.
Yes, and I suppose he's bolder than me. That's what I'm trying to say badly. He's bolder than me because he looks at that and he thinks, what would my character do? And what would make this interesting? But whereas I'm like, oh, if I do that, there'll be consequences. And Gareth sees that as an opportunity to create, because he's a writer and a musician. Whereas I'm like, and I hold back, and he doesn't.
But you write that into your sort of character creation process, don't you?
Yeah.
So you're sort of not like curtailing yourself or hamstringing yourself by doing this sort of stuff, but then you're playing to your tropes, and that translates differently across different situations of different games, doesn't it? So
it does, but I think you also bring something of yourself into that space.
Sure.
Because I, as a human being, get a bit worried about consequences, so I will be a bit reticent. So as a player, consciously or unconsciously, that's still there.
And that's an interesting point, I think, as well. Sorry, Adam, you're about to say something. But that's an interesting point as well, because one of the things I really enjoy about playing Dungeons & Dragons, which is an example, is I can be something that I am completely not.
Yeah.
You know, without having to worry about it. So,
Sure.
you know...
Yeah, Sarah was saying that the other day when she recorded with me. She basically went... She admitted on the podcast, she said, I am too good at saying yes to people when I should say no. So the character she played in our other D&D game was the absolute git.
Yes.
She said no, stole off people, was and she went, that's really cathartic for her.
Yeah.
Play against type.
Yeah.
And although she was conscious of, in effect, her own self and therefore being the antithesis of it, it meant she couldn't be the antithesis because there are no consequences, or you can try things out.
In our last episode or our last game that we had, you know, a couple of weeks back for D&D, and my happy-go-lucky orc decided he was going to shish kebab someone just because he could.
And we went, really?
Oh, me and the bard decided we were going to take these prisoners or these criminals and deal out the Emperor's justice. And everyone else was like, this is a bit extreme, they're unconscious people, you can't just kill them.
Wow.
No, stick them up as a sign for their friends to find them. Mess with the Empire.
Even then, this is, what's great is that Jace of previous to this parish, who was the brutal GM in who therefore kills you off really quickly, went, really? Really? Even he went, are you sure? Okay.
This is me and Jace's wife.
So,
let's turn these people into good bands.
And yes. It's an odd one. With character creation, I was thinking about this because it also varies from game to game. And I'm going to ask you guys a couple of questions in a second to move it on. In terms of what I do, I've realised that the different characters, the first character I ever made was a total barbarian. And it's fascinating because I trod on a rainbow bridge, and by that I mean it was a puzzle. Happened to be colourful things, and I knew I was too heavy for it because I was a 400-pound awful. And I was
sorry, for a second I thought you meant in real life.
No, I'm that.
This is how he was born.
And, yeah,
stood in the Rainbow Bridge.
And yeah, absolutely. And I knew I knew he mattered to me because I was worried the bridge was going to collapse. And at that point, I went, this game's for me. That was literally the first thing on this quest I had to do was cross this bridge. It was the first roll I had to make, and I went, and it mattered to me. I'd made this character, thought about it. Didn't have a proper backstory yet because I hadn't figured it out for myself. I'd made a lot of NPCs.
When we talked about, because we've talked about Hamilton a few times in our dog walks and things like that, and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong here, but I think...
You're wrong.
Thanks. I'll shut up. No, I thought that the way you created Hamilton was you had a very clear image in your head of what this character looked like, and then you built off of that.
With Hamilton I did, because I DM and GM more than I play. At the time, I had this idea of, I had the look down. I knew we were going to be playing
Icewind Dale.
In Icewind Dale, so in the Arctic, in effect. The D&D version of the Arctic. So it was a turtle who was definitely going to wear one of those ear flap hats.
Yeah, lumberjack style.
Yeah. He was a barbarian, and he was going to keep his hip flask inside his shell, which he'd squeeze his hand into, take it out and drink to keep himself warm. And he would have his axes, and they were going to hang on. I had this vision in my head, so for him I did it that way. And then I thought, okay, and I didn't properly get to the backstory. I know I didn't get as far as what you guys had discussed. With the next one I built, I built it slightly differently. I had this goblin artificer who was a rogue, and he was working for the underbelly of society, and he was a bomb maker, and he would sell to whichever gang he wanted, blah blah blah. And the story just evolved from that. So it was story first, but what sealed it in for me, two things sealed it in for me. Our GM at the time had a coffee with everyone to clarify how it worked. And when I created, he was called Fake. His fake name was Crenshaw because he didn't trust people, so he gave it. Even the players never knew his real name. His real name was, you've got to remind me. Plunkett, see? I don't even remember.
Hey,
his real name was Plunkett.
You get points for
remembering.
remembering.
He gets points for listening in the graveyard. Things she never thought.
We've only been friends for, 3 years?
I don't even know who you are, get out of my house. But with Plunkett, he, tragic backstory, blah, blah, blah. I met with the GM, Paul, and I built this world, basing it loosely in the D&D universe. The cities of
Paul built this world.
No. I based my backstory. I didn't know where the world was going to be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I created it as if we might visit.
So you
Baldur's
drew
Gate.
on your experiences from being a DM in previous campaigns to then.
And what was interesting is when I went for my coffee, I explained my idea, and he went, yes. How about we move it to my venue? Because I'd elaborated enough that the spelljammers were involved, and that's how he was getting from A to B.
Right.
And he went, I love that. But it became a collaboration that he then went, would it work if we moved it here? And he asked me the question. He didn't force it, although clearly I'd have had to think of something new if it didn't work as well.
Sure.
But we had a conversation where he said, I love it all, but can we move it here? And there was a conversation, negotiation, and went, yes we can. And he was very open and said, do say no, or do tweak this as your character. This is just the universe. He clearly couldn't give a lot away without spoilers. So he was giving enough away that this is where I'm thinking of putting you.
Right.
Would this work?
Okay, so I've got a question to both of you in regard, and it changed everything you guys have just said. You both built two characters who are incredibly different and have had like different ways of building them.
Yeah.
Why did you choose a different way of building each one?
That's a great question. I love that.
Because if you know something works, why would you change it? What made you want to change that formula?
I'm going to come back to something that you missed about when you were talking about Crenshaw, who was not called Crenshaw. Plunkett. You created a playlist.
Yeah, no, and
so I'll answer your question in a minute, but that was a thing that Adam did that I didn't.
What was interesting with Plunkett, and I deliberately did it because I did it two different ways. I wanted to do it properly because I knew it was going to be a long form game, and I didn't know how long we were going to be playing.
And you expected to live
in Hamilton.
Yes.
Well, I always do because Jace
Formerly
plays like
parish.
he does. And
Fast and loose.
Yeah, absolutely. And since I've started playing with you, and that'll be another conversation where but I've got my characters' names.
Aurelius.
No, not him.
Plunkett.
No, that was this
Hamilton.
one. In between, short guy, Blades of the Dark. Go.
Oh, you're Codringer.
So anyway, I built this Codringer character who reminded me of Peter Dinklage to build.
Oh yeah.
And I was very precious of him. I liked him. He was the ghost finder.
Precious of it.
I was because he
That's why
mattered.
you got so upset when Sam set off with a detonating device in the middle of a
And
sewer.
he mattered. And I because I'd heard the rumours of Jace's technique of killing people off, I thought, shit, he's going to go. And also, if you play other games, again, we'll come to it. You play, as you say, Aliens.
Yeah.
And I will come
you
back
don't
to
expect to live.
No, and they tell you in the book, don't get to actually characters. If you use their pre-built characters, they give you a lot of spares, so you can churn them out. But going back to Plunkett, with Plunkett I wanted to do it properly, so I changed my technique. I built on my Hamilton technique, so it was like the tier level.
Okay.
And I built the character, I thought the idea, I thought the world, and then I brought the emotion to it, and that's what made me own him more. So the music helped me, and I didn't expect to do it. So I stole the idea of Critical Role, but what they've done is they've created a playlist for their characters.
For their existing character.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I thought, okay, I'll give it a go. Just for fun. And what I wasn't expecting is for me to collectively actually it matter. So the tracks I picked, there were rules in my head. So I had to know, Adam had to know the tracks.
Okay.
It couldn't be, if I wanted to have a track that was, life is sad.
Yeah, you're not just going to type that into Spotify.
Yeah,
and
it had to be a track that I knew.
Yeah.
So that I wasn't just, but even if I'd vaguely heard of it, it had to be more than I vaguely heard of it. I had to know it. And it had to be a song that, and it also had to be a song that mattered to me.
Okay.
So I can give you an example. So with Plunkett, he was very much been shafted by society, and he was very, at the beginning of his character arc, which we didn't get beyond a lot of, was fuck you, fuck you, fuck you. So one of the tracks I played was Get in the Ring by Guns N' Roses.
Okay.
Because the entire thing is fuck you.
Yeah.
And that was a deliberate choice. But there is also a sense of wonder. He was an artificer with his father, and his father taught him all these things. So then they used Stargates together. So another track I picked was World of Imagination from Charlie and the Chocolate Factory.
Excellent.
And also
back to back on this playlist.
Yeah, no, and they were. And there was another one which was Part of Your World from Little Mermaid.
Yeah.
Because he wanted to be, but he was a goblin. He was shunned. He was desperate to be loved by somebody. And I know that track when I was a kid. I used to watch the Disney film as a kid, so I knew the track and I knew it would work. And then there was also Ugly Kid Joe. I Hate Everything About You because he was also churning and so on. So the list built, and right at the end, the linchpin for me as my backstory was his nearly girlfriend, was a dancer. He made her a music box in a necklace, and he played the tune. She was a ballet dancer. He put the tune magically inside of it, so whenever she opened it, played it. And I remember I chose, spoilers for anyone who's listening, when I watched Deadwood the movie, you need to press pause for anyone who, or fast forward for anyone who cares spoilers, when they kill off Al Swearingen, when he dies.
What?
I know, you're never going to watch it. He sits and sings that song. He sings Waltzing Matilda with his, he refers to it as the gimp, right?
Okay.
And it's and so basically she's the disabled lady that works in his saloon, and he sits and he sings it with her, and then they play this melodic version of it. It's on the soundtrack, and when I watched the show, I was weeping.
Right. So you put Waltzing Matilda in.
So I put Waltzing Matilda in it, and so Paul used that on GM. So whenever I heard the music through the fucking headphones, I was crushed, both from the show and why I'd used it.
Ah, clever.
So it made me emotionally tied to him, and it mattered. So you could.
Yeah, don't play a character like that in one of Jason's.
You could go. No, well, that was just it. You could go and run away and be fighting in a corner, and I'd be helping you, and I'd hear that music, and I would instantly go, "I don't care about you. I want to go and get my necklace back because someone had stolen it." That was the
Right,
point.
that was the hook for you.
That was the hook. But
Yeah.
that tapped in. I wasn't expecting it to. But really, so what I want to do now, and I haven't done it for a character since. I built other characters. I want to go back to them, to other characters. But I'd like to build one for Codring, genuinely.
Okay.
And kind of go. So it might be narcissistic and funny. It might not be emotional and sad because he was a little bit narcissistic. So at least.
Little bit.
But what's the connection? Where's the link? And that works for me, which is a build off of Hamilton.
Yeah.
That was
Clever.
that was Hamilton Plus.
Yeah, so you answered my question of why do it differently by basically saying that you started with, you had quite a less diverse knowledge of Dungeons and Dragons when you built Hamilton, and then you used all your knowledge and all your influence and
I
things
knew it was
that you found
interesting.
with these to create.
I knew how to build characters for NPCs as a DM,
Yeah,
but they were going to be throwaway. You'd meet them and not see them again,
sure.
potentially.
I don't even do that. I'm just making them up on the spot.
But therefore, there was no emotional attachment.
If my players ask me, so Mr. Shopkeeper, where did you grow up and what are your family like? D6 psychic damage. Don't ask him that. He's going to sell you stuff. Is he integral to the plot? No.
But it flashes out the world because all of a sudden, for me, it was like, okay, so we did have a shopkeeper and a pie shop episode.
Oh, I've heard the pie
yeah,
shop story. Yeah.
with
I think we've told it on here before.
Probably when he fell in love with the lady next door.
Yeah.
And it mattered to them, but it also meant that the characters remembered.
Yes.
Later on, when they needed help, they ran to the pie shop.
Yep.
Because they remembered the pie dude. It wasn't some random pie dude. It was Derek.
And can we just remind ourselves the fact that you said, as in character, and I think it was Jeremiah or somebody of that nature. No, Jerome. His name was Jerome. And you made us all lean towards the Zoom screen and listen to the smell of the pies.
Fantastic.
Let me just say that again. Lean towards the Zoom screen and listen.
And they all did. And I have a screenshot of it.
Yeah.
It was hysterical.
To the smell
They
of the
latched-
pies.
they latched
That's
on-
why you play TTRPGs.
Yes.
So, yes. So that it meant I could emotionally tap into them. So if you're going to keep your character and Jason's going to kill them off, it's worth doing. It isn't worth doing if in 2 weeks' time my current guy, if Aurelius dies, my current character, he's running.
Let me sort of paraphrase this by saying that, yes, I didn't build backstory, A, because I didn't know exactly what I wanted from whatever character it was going to be, and B, because I hadn't played very much, so it was a bit like, I don't really know what I need to do for this little bit.
Yeah.
I've rolled the stats and I know what character and race and class I want to play, but who is this person is a bit too much for me in my first TTRPG.
Yeah.
And 3, and C, even because the chances of survival in these games run by Jace is low, but that's not to mean that you go and go, no, I don't care.
No,
Not at all.
Yeah.
You still go in and play your best, and you hope the dice are on your side, and you do things that aren't silly and things.
Yeah.
But it's a case of you're not putting them in a situation where they could get killed if you can avoid it. Because he's not going to fudge your rolls. Like, for example, Jace doesn't play with a DM screen a lot of the time.
Okay.
So he'll roll the dice in front of you. If he nat 20s you see he's nat 20s you.
Yeah.
So it's not a case of fudging rolls or trying to do things. Because I've played with people before where I've been like, they've given me like 3 pages of backstory in, and I've gone, I've now 20 them at level 1. I'm going to do 3d6 damage, and they're a wizard with like 4 hit points.
Yeah.
Let's do that behind the screen so they don't kill their lovely character that they've spent ages on. But this is the sort of nature of it. But yeah, Sharon, going back earlier, so why do it differently?
I don't think it wasn't an intentional choice. I think it was more, the ideas that popped into my head. That, Kendra was a conversation in my head and kind of a reflection of, well, this is an interesting starting point, and it was the race and the fact that they were the enemy, quotes, and then unpicking that and thinking, well, what would it look like if they weren't, and why would people
do? I've played in a campaign before where a fella played a drow. And hopefully have him on at some point. It's the other Adam from the Council of Adams.
Yes.
He played a drow, disciple of Elistray.
Yeah, okay.
Surface dweller, looking, so...
Big hat?
No, artificer.
But did he wear a big hat?
No,
just spray.
Yeah,
sun cream.
I said I'm not going to deal with sunlight damage, that's just a bit harsh, isn't it?
Well, in my story, I said that she had gotten used to the sunshine over a period of time, but not for too long. And then she made friends with a dwarven family, and the wife in that family knew how to create a salve to protect your skin from sunburn.
Nice.
And taught her how to do it. So therefore, sun damage not relevant.
I was leaping to the Princess Bride, where he's taken up a little bit of the iodine powder.
Oh yeah.
I was thinking Miracle Max.
Love
or he
it.
gives them the Ferrero Rocher, because in effect that's what it was.
But it wasn't an intentional choice.
No.
It was just, this character's appeared, and how would they work? My head is full of stories and characters and things. So if there's then an opportunity to bring it in, then that's where it goes. So we played an online campaign for a little while, not ages, around with Nadia and Sarah and everything remotely. It was the
one shot I wrote.
The dinosaurs.
Oh no, yeah, what you're currently running.
Oh, okay. Tomb of Annihilation.
Tomb of Annihilation. And so again, I thought, well, what kind of person would not fit in this space, and what would that look like? So I picked a gnome called Mar Shanklin, who is very old and very wrinkly and very, oh, that's lovely, oh, I do like a bit of that, oh, that's splendid. And she has this big staff, and she's a druid, so she has quite a lot of power, but because she's short, people keep looking over her all the time, and they talk over her. Figuratively, literally. And so the funny part was that Kev was in that campaign, and he was playing a much bigger character who was a barbarian. So periodically he'd just pick Mar up and put her on his shoulder because she was walking too slow. And she was like, "Oh, young man," and then eventually she was like, "Would you give me a lift?" Because she began to realise that it was actually to her advantage.
Sure.
But yeah, again, it was like, who is out of place here?
Yeah.
Who doesn't fit, and why?
So, what would both of you be? This is a question to both of you as well. What would your tips be to someone who's never played D&D before and wants to have a go at building a character?
Yeah.
They've rolled their stats, they've picked their class, they've picked their race. Whatever they want to be in your head, how would you sort of get them to build a backstory? What would your advice be? A couple of bullet points. Doesn't have to be like a huge
at this point,
list, but like
comedy.
Yeah,
that's a great cliffhanger for a second parter, because we're already nearly at time.
Oh, that is a good point. That is a very good point.
So listen next week. What's really going to happen is we're going to keep talking, but I'm going to split it over 2 episodes, and we'll have a comedy previously on.
Yes.
With the old-timey voice. Previously on the previous episode, when we talked about character creation.
Yes. So that's the cliffhanger question: is what are the bullet points
What advice would you give to a brand new player who's never played this before and who wants to create a character? It's like, I want to be a Dragonborn fighter.
How do you make a backstory?
Where'd you go from there?
Yep. Yeah. Brilliant. Love it.
Thanks for coming on this week. Will you come back next week? In this weird forced way of pretending we're not going to just record it now.
I would love to come back next week, but I need to check my diary. I might be busy.
Ooh, cliffhanger indeed.